that more or less people are more subjugated to a traditional marriage situation where the husband is here and the woman works to serve the husband. And I as much as wrong as that may seem, I think that's what our foundation is built off of.
At this point, you did this, bro. You're going behind my back, or you asked me. That's causing a problem. How can you call yourself a man at this point? How?
Well, what is a man?
That's another good question. Are we talking like physical characteristics, or are we talking just mentality wise?
There's no physical characteristics of a man.
I personally feel
Says
like
who?
both physical and mentality, whether it be very
I don't think there are physical characteristics of a man. Like what do you think makes a man? Like a penis and balls? Like is that
sometimes it's healthy. It's healthy things and unhealthy things. And I think we've even expressed them in this conversation. Like being a man consists of very healthy and unhealthy
more specific
aspects.
I don't know. What do you mean healthy, unhealthy?
What is, as much as we are men of this modern time, we are still tied to our human instincts.
What makes you a man, Doughboy?
I think, well, here's for perspective. We shouldn't have an issue when someone else dates our previous fling or thing or whatever. But for some reason, territorial aspects come into play. Our human aspects, our human instincts come into play and say that if I've been with this, then you cannot be with this. And I think
that's exclusive to men, or do you think that women would also exhibit a similar characteristic where they would be upset that a friend of theirs is with a man that they were with?
Absolutely.
So then that's not something that's unique to men. So then I wouldn't include that in terms of what makes a man.
Differences, though. Men that I've known men that have allowed their friends to talk to A, B, C, whoever they have talked to, and then not be an issue. I've known men of that caliber that have dated people and have had their friends, and it'd be okay, and it'd be an all right thing. Like it is up to the man to determine whether that's gonna affect him or not.
Yo, Doughboy, what makes a man?
I don't know. I'm searching for that.
Are you a man? Are you a man?
I try to emulate what I can from my perspective.
From your perspective, are you a man?
I'm still trying. I'm still trying to determine that. That's a serious issue for me and a conflict internally because I was not raised by my father. I have a lot of respect to my father. My father has a lot of influence on my life, but as far as teaching me man code has been learned externally by other people. I have learned what man code is from people who are not my father. And I'm not sure if what I was taught was the right thing.
I think the concept of man code in general is outdated because a lot of man code deals with how you're supposed to treat women, and it doesn't take their autonomy into consideration. It doesn't treat them as actual people. They're objects. They're just like, this is the woman and she doesn't matter for the situation because here is what man code says. Here's how you should react. And the woman is just a thing. Like she's just a goal. She's a finish line, a prize for acting in the proper way according to man code.
In my opinion, as far as we've moved progressively as a civilization and in our minds, the same way I feel like we've moved progressively from racism in America is not practical. because I think we are still ways from it. Like, I think there are a lot of woke people. I think there are a lot of people who understand what a healthy relationship is. But I think that more or less people are more subjugated to a traditional marriage situation where the husband is here and the woman works to serve the husband. I as much as wrong as that may seem, I think that's what our foundation is built off of.
I don't.
So when you say not practical, you're saying it doesn't work. Is that what you're saying?
I
Yes or
think
no?
that a lot of modernism,
yes or no?
a lot of the modern things that we hold true to ourselves they don't
Work.
play out the same way in traditional relationships, where it is the man and the woman. Traditionally, men work, women take care of the children and everything else below that, but the man is always on top. I
So
think that dynamic is changing, but at the same time that it's changing, not enough people are changing with that.
So are you saying
And a lot
no?
of people-
So in the time frame, in the time frame when shit like this was established, when the tradition was established, the reason why the men's job is looked at as harder and why he is on top in this relationship is because men ran society. I think if you were to take a time machine right now and you go back to like the Middle Ages or something, and you actually follow a man around from the Middle Ages for a day, and you follow the woman around from the Middle Ages for the day, I'll think that you would find that the woman is actually busting her ass so much harder than the man at that time. Because he went out and like he plowed some fields or something for 8 hours, like they were like he came back sweaty and dirty. They're like, you're working so much fucking harder. You know how hard it was to keep a kid or a baby alive in those times? That's why they had 20 kids, is because half of them were gonna die. Those babies were not gonna make it.
I think in history the issue is
Yesterday, he's dead. So and so ate a little bean. It turned out to be poisonous.
I guess we're gonna have to just
By a fucking animal. Like there's
Abraham the Third died of dysentery.
Sonic 4 got crushed by Tony's asshole. We don't know.
I have no idea.
Or Knuckles, he fell out of the wagon while we were trying to ford that river. Because no one never ford the river. Never. It's a trap.
Yo.
What are you talking about? Because I'm completely lost.
No,
oh my god!
Like, we're sorry.
It's referencing Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Explain for the people. Okay.
Yeah,
basically, people back in the day had a lot of kids because a lot of kids weren't going to make it, and it's the only way to secure some number of offspring that will raise into adults.
Wait, hold on a second. I got the producer in my ear. She wants to know if Pucha wants an iced coffee.
What? Damn! I like that. Hold on.
Yeah. So, what makes a man? And we're not talking physical, right? You guys are not trying to say what makes a man physical. You're saying like
no, absolutely, that should be taken into account. So sorry to complicate this conversation even further because I personally feel like for the most part, I don't know what a man is. Like, it's hard to really like. I know what a man is supposed to be societally, but I see what women are. They exhibit those traits. So then it's like, okay, if it's not unique, then that's not what makes them them, right? Like, you're looking for unique characteristics to label someone a thing, right? I do acknowledge that there is a such thing as maybe man is not the right word, but there are people in society that are bigger, faster, stronger than other people in society in general, right? Like ultimately, even though when Mateo was saying, hey, the reason they went out there, they worked hard, they did whatever, they got some food, they plowed some fields, they come back sweaty and dirty, and that looked like it was a harder job than raising 20 kids, preparing the food, gathering, food, like all that type of stuff. Like that looked harder. But ultimately the real reason is because they could have just physically killed them. Like they were stronger than them.
More-
Might was right in the previous time.
More words from the
Whoever was
producer.
stronger was correct. In the
And there
previous
wasn't a term of domestic violence.
time. Yeah, you just beat your wife or whoever the fuck you wanted.
Which is not a thing we're condoning. We're just having a discussion here.
Also,
Absolutely.
more words from the producer. Do you like caramel?
God damn, yes. That's so good. Yes.
Caramel.
Toss that pumpkin
Caramel.
spice in there too.
Caramel.
It's seasonal, baby. Nah, we're past pumpkin spice season.
Caramel.
Hey,
Caramel.
in line with this conversation, is there a show that has aged more poorly than How I Met Your Mother? Because if you ever tried going back and watching that show, I don't know if you watched it in the first place, but that character Barney that everyone loved from that show is a sex criminal. Like
isn't he okay? Because I've seen a lot of clips of this guy on Reddit. Isn't he intentionally the way that he is? Like, wasn't he written to be that character though?
He was, and everyone loved him. But then, like, you look into the character, it's like, this man is straight up lying to get these women into bed. Like, he is not even lying. He's inventing false personas and, like, different names and, like, different, like, he's going, like, he is just deceiving these women into having sex with them.
What's the show with Danny DeVito?
That's
Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, Always
That's
Sunny.
what I'm thinking about. Yo, that scene is fucking hilarious, and it's also so fucking dark and grim. Where the guy, there's a guy on that show where he's talking about it's the implication.
That's Dennis.
Yo, that guy's a piece of shit.
Dennis,
like, yeah, you corner a woman in a dark room, and then you ask her, "Do you want to make love to me?"
That is so fucking
It's like an innocuous question, but if she
no.
Yes.
He's talking about you take him on a boat to the middle of the ocean.
Oh my!
And then things happen. He's like, because of the implication. And the Mac, who he's talking to, is like, the implication of what, dude? What are you gonna do to these women? What have you done to these women? He's like, no. I wouldn't do anything to them. They just know that if I wanted to, I could.
Oh my god!
I think that, just to go full circle, that's why society has ran the way that it has for so long, with women being lower on the totem pole.
Absolutely.
Because men in general, and when I say men, I'm talking about people physiologically that happen to be born with penises and have testicles. They have higher testosterone, and for reasons in that nature, they tend to be taller, hairier, stronger, angrier, faster, all those things. It produces the situation where the implication is if you don't go along with what they want, they'll force you to go along.
No, not only that, but
it's like the villain from Beauty and the Beast. The Beast was the villain in that movie because he was forcing Belle. That woman had Stockholm syndrome. That is not a love story. That woman was kidnapped. Her father was threatened. That's why she ended up with the Beast. Like,
Gaston was just trying to do the right thing.
Gaston's the hero of that movie.
So you don't think you can fall in love like that?
No.
No, I don't think you can kidnap a woman and make her fall in love with you, Tony.
No, he didn't make her. He didn't make
that
her.
controversial stance and say no.
Wait. You can. That's why it's been documented. I feel like these stories are documented for a reason.
Are you talking about Stockholm syndrome? That's not real love, though.
Absolutely. I
Sorry,
think.
what are you saying? Absolutely, that it is real love.
Serious way.
Sorry, that it is real love.
People used to think that
Nigga don't answer questions.
No. But this is a history period.
Listen to his question.
History thing.
Sorry, not a history. You're saying that it's real. Those are your words. So I'm asking, do you think that a person who gets kidnapped can actually fall into real love with the
yes or no?
captor?
Yes, and I think it's happened in the past. I think that it has shown in past that captives have for some mental issue reason have sympathy towards their captors.
So you say because of a mental issue? I think you're knocking right on the door.
We're gonna need a disclaimer down here at the bottom for the editor. We're gonna need it right here.
I just want to speak. I'm not saying what I'm saying is right, but I think in old days, I think in past tense, I think that this was a way to coerce the woman you wanted.
So, Doughboy, let me
That's
ask you
not
this.
the question. I don't disagree that manhandling a person is a way to coerce or force them into a situation.
Especially
That's
back in the
not
day.
right. That is a way. I'm asking, is it valid? Like,
Not today. Not today,
then
but
you-
in a possibility.
We're talking ethically. Like, do you like ethically and mentally? Do you think that was actually real love that they experienced there, or was it some form of mental illness? Because the
mental
documented
fuckery.
cases are that it's some kind of mental fuckery. Like it's manipulation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely what?
And I don't think that you're wrong in that sense. But
Absolutely
I think
what?
in these times, I think in the times that these things were written and the times that it's we're talking about centuries
Doughboy,
ago.
absolutely
I think
what?
Bucho needs you to say the words.
I need to hear them. You're saying absolutely what? I don't know what you're saying absolutely to.
That
I
it's
think
fine?
that
Is it real love? Yes
think
or
that
no?
in-
It's not.
in a perspective from hundreds of years ago, I think that this was a perspective that people had on
Right.
love.
No, you're
Is
not
it
answering.
right or is it wrong?
No, but that's from the beginning. I've never said that it was right.
Doughboy,
But when you're looking back at texts from the hundreds of years ago, whether it be the Bible, whether it be folk tales, whether it be any of these stories that we tried to create, I think it has a major play
Doughboy,
on the time period that they were created.
Doughboy, whether how far in the past it goes or today, is it morally good, right? Yes or no?
I think back in the day,
No.
these were stories that women would look at and be like, "Oh my God, maybe I wasn't right about that person who tried to keep me in complete
That's not-
I think personally, I think these stories were used to confuse or direct a direction of love.
So
And
let me ask a like a more recent example of this, right? Because you're saying hundreds of years ago, right? I don't think that's accurate. Think of R. Kelly.
I don't think that that's wrong. I don't think that that's wrong. I'm talking about when the subject matter was written.
Sorry,
When
wait. What don't you think is wrong? Sorry, you keep saying it. Say specifically, because I'm having a hard time following.
when Beauty and the Beast was first created, that story, that image of love, that image of how people fell in love, I think that was more or less a story of that period and or time when women would be, oh, you're my prince, you're my princess, I'm gonna marry you to whoever the fuck I want, regardless. And I think what they were trying to say was even if you're married to somebody who you don't want to be with, you also can find some sort of love in that situation. That bitch was Stockholm syndrome, obviously. She was experiencing Stockholm syndrome, but I think Stockholm syndrome in that case and time was more normal than what we thought.
Well, normal is like a loaded term. It feels like normal is correct.
In that time, 100 years ago, when these stories were created, because these stories, if I'm not correct, were from the 1930s.
So, like I get what you're saying is that in a different day, some random guy born in that time, he might think that that's okay. But that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, what does David with the Yankee cap think right now?
That's
Like
wrong, obviously.
Okay, sorry. Okay, and then you keep saying hundreds of years ago. It feels like you totally ignored my more recent question, which is R. Kelly, right? R. Kelly's a person who, as far as I'm aware, he didn't keep people in captivity by force, like in the beginning. That's something that they got abused into as time went on.
I think he did confiscate their IDs and like passports or whatever they had or something.
In that
I'm saying
time,
I don't think it starts that way. In that being like the types of relationships that he was doing, it seemed like they started off all nice, and then he would like slowly try to drop these women's self-worth down to the point where they could be locked in a room for months at a time.
absolutely.
This is that
Sorry.
No. Absolutely. You're right in what he was doing.
It's
But
similar to what the Beast did in Beauty and the Beast, right?
in the time frame that he did it, he was dating a 14, 15-year-old
Stuff. I just want to know. Forget the minor stuff.
This nigga avoids all questions.
The wrong thing. It wasn't. Nobody got outraged when they found out that Aaliyah, a 14, 15-year-old, was dating a 23-year-old R. Kelly. It wasn't an issue back in the 90s.
It was an issue
it was.
It was an issue.
And also people just didn't really know.
It wasn't as big as it would be if people found out now, if that was a now thing.
Yeah, because I think the internet proliferates information. Sorry, but I'm not trying to be.
And we progress, because here is the thing that fucks with people of our age to think about. The 90s was 30 years ago.
A long time ago. You're talking about when South Park.
You remember back in high school where you had like some kids who were weirdly obsessed with the 60s? Now it would be the 90s. If we were in high school right now, it would be people weirdly obsessed with the 90s.
I wasn't in high school in the 90s, but
the whole question, Doughboy, is like, do you think it was okay? You said no.
But he didn't say no.
Yeah, no, he did. He said he said
absolutely.
Absolutely not.
Oh, absolutely.
Sorry. Well, no, because I was saying specifically when I brought up R. Kelly, you had to bring up. Well, sorry, not that you had to bring up, but you brought up additional things that would make it wrong, like he was doing this to minors and stuff like that. I'm saying removing those factors, the way that he was treating women to, and I'm even loading this question in a sense, right? I'm saying specifically the actions that he took against women and the experiences that they came out with, they described them as a Stockholm syndrome, pretty much. I'm asking if taking the minors situation outside, like all the young girls, get them out of the situation because there's reasons to be against adults being with minors. I'm saying specifically just those actions being done against someone who's well within their mind. Is that right or wrong? Is my question. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Because that's not the way that you're answering all of these questions. None of that has been clear.
Yeah. It sounds like you're agreeing with all of that shit.
So back to bring it all the way back. Tony, what makes a man to you?
Physically or
I think physically is such a bad route to go down on this conversation.
Because I'm gonna tell you,
Tony. I'm actually curious. Physically, what makes a man?
My dick and my balls.
So a man. So what happens what about the people that are born with no genitalia? Like
what about trans men? Like
that's different.
Oh, hold on, wait. That's even more complicated.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait. I just want to go simple. What about the people?
All right, so this is gonna sound probably ignorant, right?
I'm saying, sorry. Forget trans people for a second. Just for a second. Don't even think about trans people. This is a very complicated topic that, in my opinion, no offense to anybody, I feel like unless people do reading and expose themselves to different beliefs and ideologies, they're not equipped to have these conversations, in my opinion. I'm just saying, what about a person that exhibits all of the characteristics of what you would view as a person born with a penis and balls, but they weren't actually born with a penis and balls? They're born with like no functional parts.
That's different. I don't know enough about that.
What does that mean? That's different.
Because I don't know enough about that.
Sorry, I'm asking. What do you mean that's different?
For me, that would be different to say if that person wasn't born with any genitalia. Like, I wouldn't know.
Sorry, what is different? Are they a man or are they not a man is the question. You're saying the answer is that's different.
I don't know that. If they were born with no dick, no vagina, I would not be able to answer that because I have no information on that. I don't know enough to make a comment on that. Okay, so you're saying a penis in and of itself is what makes you a man? How I was raised and grown up, if you were born with a penis, and to this day, doctors. I just want to know what you think, not how you were raised. I'm getting there. To this day, they still will tell you, "Oh, you want to know if it's a boy or a girl when you go get your ultrasound." And how do they tell? Penis or vagina?
So that is becoming an outdated thing too.
So
just
that is becoming an
FYI.
outdated. No, that is. So
You
It
can't.
is becoming an outdated thing